Hello everybody, welcome back to DillonCOYS, and we're back with another video. Today's an interesting one. I'm going to be talking about my Premier League table predictions for this season, and with the Premier League just around the corner, by the time you're watching this, I'm pretty sure the first game would have just started. But nevertheless, I'm still going to do this, and I'm going to share my predictions for not just the table, but other individual categories as well. As you can see in front of me, I've got the table out. I'm going to be ranking them from champions all the way to relegated. Now, let's just get straight into this. Now, let's start off with the champions. Right, so some people may or may not agree with me, but given with, we've got Man City and Arsenal are probably one of the favourite title contenders. But for me, I still think that Liverpool are going to defend their title. Why do I think that? Well, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but they've spent the most in the transfer market. Some of the players that they've brought in, like Florian Wirtz, he's got a massive creative spark. He was amazing at Bayer Leverkusen. They've signed Jeremy Frimpong as well. And they've already got some absolutely amazing players in their squad. Let's not lie. They've got Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk. They're just an absolutely solid team. And for me, I think they are going to retain the title. Let's not forget about Isak, who's probably on his way as well. By the time you're watching this, it hasn't happened yet, but it's probably going to happen. And we know how Isak was at Newcastle, just absolutely banging in goals left, right, and centre. So I think with Liverpool adding him to their squad, it's just going to be deadly, and I don't think the Premier League. I don't think they're ready. Now in second place, no, I'm not going to put Arsenal. I'm going to put Manchester City. Again, another huge spender. Last season, they really did struggle a little bit. It was quite satisfying seeing. I won't lie, it was a bit satisfying seeing City pretty much not win anything for once. It was a really nice change. It's a little bit of a new era now with them losing players like Kevin De Bruyne. There's some boots to be filled there for sure, and they've also had quite a few outgoings. Jack Grealish is now on loan to Everton. Savinho looks like he's on his way to Spurs, but as per usual, Man City have just been solid in the transfer market, and for me, I don't think they're going to quite get to the title, but I think second, they're going to just be right back up there to challenge for it. It's going to be like how it was a few years ago when it was just Liverpool and City challenging for the title, and it was very entertaining to watch, I can't lie, although it was pretty much City who was getting away with it every single time. For me, I don't think City will quite cling on to it, so I've put them in second. Now in third spot, I'm actually going to put Chelsea. This might be a bit of a surprise to some people, but after the Club World Cup win, Chelsea, I mean, to be honest with you, they've just felt like a team who have probably underperformed in the table the last few years. I'm sure you'll agree with me there. I think this season is where it finally does sort of explode. Again, they're another team who's just been spending in the market. They are a really frustrating team to play, and I know as a Spurs fan, I hate playing against them. We never beat them. I really hate it. Chelsea, for me, are going to absolutely bomb the Premier League this season. I just have a gut feeling, to be honest with you. To be fair, they were decent last season. I know they won the Conference League and then, yes, like I said, the Club World Cup. And with Enzo Maresca, another season under him, I mean, I think the future looks bright for Chelsea, and that hurts to say. Coming in at number 4, I am going to put Arsenal. Now, as we know, the last couple of years, Arsenal have been pretty much consistently finished second, which they've just been absolutely memed about. You've probably seen it. I have, that's for sure. But I think with the sort of lack of urgency in the transfer market at the moment, they have finally got the striker that they wanted. Victor Gyökeres, or Glökeres as they're calling him. Things could be looking up a little bit. I know there's, there was a possibility of them signing Eze, but again, he's looking like he might come to Spurs, although that's not happened yet, so I could be wrong. I think Arsenal just once again probably going to be even further out of reach this time. I don't think Mikel Arteta, and even Arsenal fans say this, I don't think he is the man to take them up to the top. I mean, it's just been said for a couple of years now by their own fans, so I can't really see it happening. I know it's a little bit biased for me to put them a little bit lower, but I do genuinely just think they're not going to finish first. I don't. And that's another point if Gyökeres will perform in the league, because we've seen big players flop before, and with all the pressure that is on Gyökeres, just how many goals he was scoring at Sporting, I think the pressure, it could get to him. We will see. He didn't do fantastically in pre-season, but I know it doesn't really count like that. We can't really judge a player off that. You can't really judge a player off usually one season either. You just have to give it time. But I think if Arsenal don't do it this season, then I don't think Arteta's going to last at the club after that. That's what I think. Now for fifth spot, it's actually quite difficult to sort of decide, because quite a few of the clubs around who could finish around that region just seem to be having quite a few outgoings and nothing too solid. I'm not going to put Spurs in fifth because it just feels a bit silly and too biased, and a little bit, for me, I can't see us finishing fifth, to be honest with you. I mean, maybe in the back of my mind I would have said Villa probably, but they seem to be having a lot of outgoings and struggling to get the ingoings in. So I'm going to go for Newcastle United. Again, they're another team who's really struggled in this transfer market, but I think losing Isak might actually rejoice the team a little bit more and really fight harder. Newcastle still have a very decent team, but you know, when you lose your top scorer, things can be really difficult. It's, you know, when Spurs lost Harry Kane, we still actually had a decent season. A lot of people thought we were going to get relegated, although it actually happened the season after, but we don't talk about that. But I just think that Newcastle will just hit 5th place. That's what I think. Now next, I will go for Spurs. I do think we will finish maybe just outside the top 5. I think it's a little bit biased, but the reason what I will say is, you know, if we can get this Eze and Savinho deal done, I think honestly we're going to be a completely different team from last season. That's what we all want. A lot of people giving us probably really harsh criticism that we're not even going to finish in the top 10 just because we spent one season near the bottom. I think that's just silly. You know, we've consistently finished around the top 6, 7 over, you know, what, how many years? Loads. So, you know, we can afford to have one bad season, but you know, it's time to step back up. And with the new Thomas Frank era, all these new signings coming in, I think we would just about clinch that. Now in 7th place, I'm going to put Aston Villa. Again, it's sort of like Newcastle. Aston Villa have a decent squad, but there is a lot of outgoings going at the moment. In fact, one of the outgoings I'm pretty sure is going to Newcastle. Jacob Ramsey looks like he's heading to Newcastle. I've seen quite a few frustrated Villa fans on Twitter basically complaining about the lack of activity going into the club. They will have the Europa League to look forward to, which I actually think they might do pretty well, and I think they'll get late into the competition. But in terms of the Premier League, I think 7th probably sounds about right. As I'm recording this, Liverpool have actually just made a new signing, Leone, if I pronounced that right. This is what I mean. That's ridiculous. That's why I've put them first. I think they're going to just be absolutely unbelievable. I can't even get my words out. It's not uncommon, to be honest. I can't even speak. What's happening? Now in 8th, I am going to put Manchester United. I think they're going to have a better season this time with Amarim's squad. They've made some improvements. It's definitely nothing too major, but you know, this will be Amarim's first proper season at United, so he can sort of get his bearings out a bit. There's been a few outgoings, probably a bit of cleaning up that's been happening behind the scenes at United. They've made a couple of big signings, Mbumu, Matthias Cunha from Wolves. So you know, just a few. But I know United fans are always confident. They're saying they're going to win the league. I mean, let's be realistic here. That's not going to happen. Okay, I mean, Spurs aren't going to win the league. We're not going to win the league just because we've made a couple of signings. All right, let's just get our heads screwed on straight, yeah. But I do think United will improve this season. I think Amarim is going to have a. I mean, you know, I think the board going to accept would they accept finishing 8th? Would they? Could they keep him any more longer? I mean, you've got to really keep a manager. That's the thing. You've got to keep a manager and just work with them so that they can get the best out of the squad. And it could take years. I mean, that's how Sir Alex Ferguson started off at United. He didn't start off winning trophies immediately, did he? Well, he didn't win the league immediately. He had to build the squad. That's what United need to do. That is what they need to do. I'm pretty sure Rashford said the same thing in his interview. That's what they need to do. In 9th place, I'm actually going to put Brighton and Hove Albion. We've known over the last few years Brighton to produce some amazing talent. We even saw them have Gyökeres in their squad at one point, but that never really materialised into something. That could have been crazy. It does look like they're going to have an outgoing Baleba to Manchester United. Whether that will happen, I'm not too sure, but I think it'll be a high price, so they could maybe try and invest something back into that. But I think Brighton, honestly, they could finish 9th. I know for a fact that Brighton are an absolute pain in the ass to play. As a Spurs fan, honestly, I get sick of the sight of them, especially the last time we played away. It was quite a bottle job, that was. But I just think in general Brighton are quite a frustrating team to play. They do seem to just sort of get their way around quite easily. I think this will be one of their best seasons upcoming. So yeah, that's why I think they'll finish 9th. In 10th spot, I'm actually going to put Nottingham Forest. Yeah, not much to say. They've managed to retain and sign quite a few players, actually. I'm not even going to talk about the Morgan Gibbs White deal. I'm not even going to talk about it. It does pain me to say it, but they've done pretty decent in the transfer market. They know what they're looking for, it seems. And now, obviously, they've gotten European football to look forward to in the Europa League. Palace aren't very happy about that, but yeah, I think I've got to give props to the owner. As much as I dislike him, he's got what he wanted. He's got what he wanted. There was an interview earlier with Nuno talking about that they're not prepared. They're not really prepared with the squad, and I think that's something that could be held back a little bit. They don't really seem quite ready yet, and that's coming from the manager just before the season starts, and that's not a very good thing to hear. It's something you'd never ever want to hear. So I think 10th spot is probably a bit fitting. They might be trying to focus on Europe a little bit more, so that's why I've gone with 10. This might come as a bit of a surprise to you, but Everton, I mean, where do I start? I mean, first of all, they're going to really want to perform well this season. You know, they're moving into their new stadium. It's going to be a big thing for them. It was the same when we moved into our new stadium. We just wanted the best, absolutely, and we did pretty decent that season. Everton as well, you know, they've signed some big players for them, who I think will do pretty decently. Jack Grealish on loan from Man City being one of them. Dewsbury Hall from Chelsea as well. It's not too much that's gone on, but I think maybe that might just be enough to basically move away from relegation battles. That's why I've gone Everton 11th. In 12th, I'm actually going to go for Crystal Palace. I think Palace, you know, they're probably about to lose some key players. I mean, they already have over the last couple of years, but with Eze possibly on his way out, Guehi possibly going to Liverpool. Not too sure if that will happen yet. It's being rinsed a little bit, their squad, but I think 12th seems a bit fair. It's where they've sort of finished in the last few years anyway, you know, just sort of mid-table, comfortable mid-table. This will be a bit higher than before. I think they'll do all right though. I think they'll do all right though. And they've probably got to concentrate on European football as well, and, you know, bouncing back straight from the FA Cup win, the Community Shield, and then losing all those players might hurt a bit, but I'm still confident that they will probably do a little bit better than we think. I'm going to go with Bournemouth in 13th. They've struggled quite a bit, I think, in the market, just a little bit. They've had their defence absolutely rinsed, but to be honest with you, you know, they have made a couple signings. I think, again, this will be a season where they will probably thrive a little bit with all the money that's been basically spent on them, and I think they're going to be looking into reinvesting. You know, there's still a month to go in the transfer window, so I am kind of basing it off of that as well. You know, if the window was over now, it would be a bit different, but given that there's still just under a month to go, I think they're going to probably bring in a couple more players. I think Fulham in 14th, I just think that's fair. Fulham haven't been that active in the transfer market, but this just sort of seems like where Fulham would be. I can't lie, I don't know too much about them, but I'm just going to put them there, so sorry Fulham fan. Now in 15th, I'm going to go with Brentford. Well, it's pretty obvious what's happened. They've had a few big players leave them as well, and Tottenham, of course, taking their manager who's been with them for so many years, and he's been replaced by I'm pretty sure it's their set piece coach, which is going to be a massive blow for them. I really think they might struggle. They could even be in a relegation fight. It's going to be tough for them, so I think 15th is probably a little bit fair. West Ham United in 16th. They've just been struggling quite a lot. This might be a little bit better, I guess, a little bit of an improvement, but they're going to need a big fight for the upcoming season. They're just gonna have to see how they do. I'm not a fan of West Ham, obviously, but I think 16th is probably, I think that's probably where they'll finish. Wolves as well, probably up there. Again, they've lost a couple players. They had a really poor season, especially to the start last season. It looks like they were going to get relegated, but I think they won't. I think they'll stay up this time, but I still think they'll struggle, and this will be where they will finally need to turn around. I guess, again, it's still some time in the window. It does look like they might be improving their defence in the transfer market a little bit, so maybe that will help, but I don't think it will be enough, so I've put Wolves in 17th. And the last three, Leeds, Sunderland and Burnley. Could we have another season where all the promoted teams go right back down? It could very well happen, although it might be a bit unlikely. I will give props to Sunderland. I think they actually probably have the best chance of staying up with how ridiculous they've been in the transfer market. Honestly, they've just been splashing the cash. So, you know, good luck to them. They're probably going to need it. I feel like they belong in the league. Leeds have a good chance as well, to be honest. With some signings they've made, some experienced players, I don't think Burnley are going to do too well. But that is my Premier League table prediction. It's not the smoothest, it's not the best, but let me know what you think in the comments. What do you think is wrong with this? Who do you think will win the league? Who do you think will get relegated? Let me know. Just before I get to the end of season categories, I would just like to say that the Football Content Awards are nominating. It is up for nomination. The nominations are live. They close in a few days just after the Spurs game, so on Sunday. I would really appreciate it if you could vote for me. I've pinned it in the comment section. If you could just press that link, take a few minutes every time, read the tweet I've put out. I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much. So starting off with the surprise team of the season. So I think honestly it might be Sunderland. Now this can be a bit of a controversial one, just because, you know, a team that's just been promoted makes loads of new signings doesn't automatically mean they're going to stay up, which is admittedly, yes, that's true, because we've seen that kind of thing before and the team's still gone down. But for some reason Sunderland just sticks out a bit differently for me. You know, they've been so patient trying to get back up to the Premier League. They've had a long tough journey. I won't lie, I am backing them a little bit, to be honest. I want them to do well. I couldn't imagine my club having a moment like that in its history. They've just signed some massive players. I think one of the biggest letdowns might be for them is probably AFCON coming up, because they've signed a lot of players who I think will be competing in AFCON towards the I think it's the early 2026. So that could be a big letdown for them. But, you know, honestly, some of the players they've signed are just experienced players. They've just signed Granit Xhaka, who will be their captain, and I mean, he was a Ballon d'Or nominee last season. I mean, that's ridiculous. So I think Sunderland will be a surprise team and will finish higher than people think. My disappointment, my biggest disappointment of a team, I think it's going to be, for me, there's so many options I could say, but I think for me it's going to be Brentford for a number of reasons. You probably know what a couple of them are, but one of them obviously being Thomas Frank. We've taken him off their hands. They have now got a coach who was rejected from MK Dons earlier this year to take up a coaching role. That's never exactly a good look. He's also a set piece coach. It's going to be a really big test for him. Not only that, but Brentford have lost a few key players. Mbeumo, Wissa. You know, it's going to be a big challenge for them, I think. It could be over for Brentford in the Premier League. That era could be done, but we will see. But that is my prediction for the biggest disappointment. Now, who do I think will be player of the year? I'm going to go Florian Wirtz from Liverpool. He signed from Bayer Leverkusen this season for just a ton of money. I can't remember what it was. It was over 100 million for sure. We saw how he was at Bayer Leverkusen. His vision, his creativity, it's just unbelievable. I think that's going to translate so well in the Liverpool squad, especially with the players that are already there. I think he's going to be someone who's going to actually surprise everyone a little bit when it comes to being up there for player of the year. That's who I think will be player of the year. I also think it's probably going to be the player to help Liverpool retain their defence in lifting that league title once again. So Florian Wirtz, keep an eye out for him. Now this is a very controversial one, very controversial, and I'll explain why it is. But the biggest flop of a player who has just signed, I'm gonna have to go for Victor Gyökeres. Now this is a guess, alright, and the reason I say that is because Victor Gyökeres, he's come from Sporting, he's bagged in so many goals for them. He's someone who looks very promising. He's played in England a little bit before, never really had the best chances, but for me, especially like previous Portuguese league players who have come to the Premier League, it just doesn't seem to translate that well. It's not for everyone. You know, you've got players like Bruno Fernandes who've just translated well. Cristiano Ronaldo, obviously, that's a classic one. But I also think as well, you know, the amount of pressure he is now on signing onto that Arsenal squad, considering how he was at Sporting, can he now do the same at a Premier League team who are trying to challenge for the title? Will he be able to do it, or will the pressure be too much, and is he going to be seen as a flop? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm going to wrap that video up here. Do you agree with my picks? What are your picks? You let me know in the comments. I'm very interested to hear, actually, because it's going to be a very exciting season. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to stop this video now, edit it, and watch the first game of the season, which starts in 15 minutes, which I'm very excited to watch. Finally, we got some football back on. So anyway, you take care, like, subscribe, comment, check out the socials in the description. Make sure, you leave a comment, let me know what you think. I'll see you later. Thank you very much for watching. Come on, you Spurs.